Ecowise here. You might wonder why I'm in a cemetery. Well, we're going to start speaking about flower arranging. And the reason I've started this introduction here is because there are flowers that have been found in graves and in burial sites that are Neanderthal, so, 150 or 200,000 years ago. And it's one of the first archaeological forms of evidence showing of human culture, meaning one of the ways that we tried differentiating ourselves from animals and the rest of nature is the collection and display of flowers. And of course, even to today, we mark major ceremonies and major episodes in our lives with flowers, whether it's births, deaths, marriages, graduations, engagements. You can think of it. We still often give flowers. And what I'm going to do is, this is something I'm very passionate about, and I don't often teach about it or share this at all, so it's very personal to me. And what I'm going to try doing over this next series is talking about perhaps getting us to think about some of the meanings of flower arranging, thinking about some of the practicalities of flower arranging, some of the history of flower arranging in terms of different cultures, thinking about what materials to use, because obviously flower arranging isn't just about necessarily using only flowers. Thinking about responsibility when it comes to flower arranging, when it especially comes to collecting wild plants. Thinking about the materials themselves, because some flowers or materials you can collect and they immediately wilt and they'll be no good at all. So the timing involved. Thinking about also some of the design and approaches to the aesthetics of flower arranging. Okay, so that's what I'm going to attempt to do, is break it down like that. But first of all, let me just get something clear. Flower arranging is the term we'd use in English, but it's kind of limited because often you don't use flowers. Often I'm collecting bark, or I'm collecting berries, or I'm collecting roots, or I'm collecting branches, or I'm collecting leaves. And it's not necessarily just the flowers, or the flowers themselves. Which part? The bud, or when they're open, or when they're fading. There's many different stages, so flower arranging is a bit limited. Also, it doesn't have to be just botanical or plant material you can use. You can use materials that come from the animal world, like feathers or fur or bones. I often make arrangements with old bones. Or you can use materials that come from, like rocks or minerals. Or even things that you wouldn't expect, like old plastic. Or old things that are from the human world, old shoes, old hats, old bits of our materials from our culture. The point is, it's about the symbolism of what you're trying to, the message and the symbolism of what you do when you get that material and you present it. So first of all, I just want to talk a little bit about the meaning of flower arranging. Because flowers, as in this case here, are often used as a symbol to relate us to something greater than our limited selves and our idea of the normal everyday world. Flowers seem to connect us to something that transcends the everyday world, something that perhaps connects us to the sacred or the spiritual. And that's often why they're used in these important moments and transitions like birth, marriage, death, for instance. In Asia, flowers are used, and in the West too, but certainly in Asia still, as offerings. Offerings to God, offerings to spirits, offering to that sacred spiritual part of ourselves. Often on a traditional Asian shrine, you'll find water offerings, you'll find offerings of incense, you'll find offerings of flowers, you'll find an offering of a flame or a candle or a lamp, you'll find offerings of perfume, you'll find offerings of food, and often offerings of something that represents music. But flowers are an essential part of that offering. So when we make a flower arrangement, can be a lot of meaning in that, and I'm just touching on that now, meaning that it's much more than just making a pretty flower arrangement. Flower arranging can connect you to the greater than human world and connect you to the greater than everyday connection we have with the spirituality and the transcendent. So I'm going to talk about this in more detail. This is just a kind of off the cuff, as always, introduction. Anyway, let's start there. So I'm going to say a little bit about who does flower arranging and why. Anybody can do flower arranging. It doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter, especially if you're a boy or a girl. Because in the West, there's a lot of prejudice that men or boys shouldn't do flower arranging. And that's really unfair and not based on anything. It's this idea that it's something that women do or girls do, which often it is in the West now. But if you look, say, Ikebana, traditional Japanese Zen-based flower arranging, it was normally men that did it. There's no reason that men shouldn't do it. So anybody can do flower arranging and can play with and make designs with materials from nature, including flowers. Well, why do we do it? Well, this is a big subject, but let's just try making it simple. One of the reasons to do it is you bring nature into your living space. Because obviously in our ancestral past and in our evolutionary past, we lived in nature. We didn't necessarily, even before the Neolithic Revolution, before agriculture, we probably didn't have permanent structures where we lived. So we were in nature. That was our home. That's where we lived. So we were with flowers, we were with plants, we were with trees, we were with animals. We didn't have to bring them into our home. But once we got homes, and certainly once we got towns and cities, we started to feel separate from nature, even though they were not, but we started to feel that. So we started to have to bring representations of nature into our homes. And that's actually quite important now, because bringing flowers into your home will connect you, especially in this time when we're maybe isolated from nature because we're on lockdown, or perhaps people are unwell, or they're old, or they're unable to get into nature. By bringing nature into their environment is a beautiful thing to do that connects them not just to nature but to the seasons of nature, because different flowers and different things happen at different seasons. And by collecting them responsibly, and I'm going to talk about that later, it connects you to what's going on with the world and what's going on in terms of seasonality. So not only that, it also makes you more observant. When you're out in nature, whether you're in the park or the garden or wherever you are, it makes you start to notice changes and that things aren't static. Things are constantly in change. And by noticing that, you start to notice what you want to collect. And so who does it? Anybody can do it. And why are you doing it? Well, one of the reasons is to bring nature into your home and to connect you to the cycles and seasons of nature. I'm going to talk a bit more about the why we do it later, but that's the beginning. A little bit more about why we do flower arranging. Like I described before, it connects us to nature and to the seasons, but it also connects us to the sacred. And there's a lot of evidence from frescoes and different things, paintings inside Egyptian tombs, etc., etc. For thousands of years, people have been placing flowers as a way to connect them to the divine. And in fact, individual flowers in different cultures at different times, and even today, individual species and different kinds of flowers have different symbolism and different meaning. And certainly in the past, they had great depth of meaning. Different flowers put in different places meant different things, whether it was to do with courage, or whether it's to do with love, or whether it's to do with mourning, or whether it was to do with hope, or whether it was to do with prosperity. Different flowers in different cultures have and had a lot of different meaning. You can research this historically. It's incredible. There's a whole bunch of information. Another reason we do flower arranging is to connect us to the fact that it's not about capturing a moment, because flowers change. Like these flowers I've collected here, there's some irises here, and there's this sedge. From the moment they were growing, they're different stages of their development. And the fact that I've picked them has changed that. And when I put them in the vase, they're going to change. These irises I've deliberately picked, and they're in bud form. They're not open yet. If I collected these irises when they're already open, they're very delicate flowers, and they would be damaged, and they would already, by the time I got into the vase, they would already be declining and degrading. But that's also one of the reasons we make flower arrangements, is to show something of exactly of that moment of what's happening. This kind of, and this is very much the case with Ikebana. It's a matter of trying to represent that particular moment in time. And when you have flowers in a vase, they're changing, and they're often at their most beautiful as they're starting to degrade, and as they're starting to decline, as they're starting to die, in effect. So flower arranging is something about capturing that. I keep saying capturing, it's not capturing, but it's about representing us, trying to connect us to this sense of impermanence. And impermanence is a beautiful thing in our world. So it's about connecting us to the reality of the world we live in, where nothing is static and nothing stays the same. The things are in transition and change. So that's another reason we do flower arranging, to bring the sacred and the natural into our homes, and to connect us with some of these greater principles of reality and the natural world in our own lives, of impermanence and change. Okay? Another reason we flower arrange, we bring flowers into our home and living space, is to bring the energy of, and the vitality and the joy into our homes and into our environments, as a reminder of the freshness and the joy that we can find in lives. Obviously, there can be the beautiful perfume that's given out by flowers, or just the aesthetics of having something beautiful that reminds you of the beautiful world we live in. Because sometimes we get so lost in our everyday lives, we need those little reminders. So a little flower arrangement nicely placed can be a reminder just to pause and to maybe take a few breaths and just remember what a beautiful world we live in, even if we're facing difficulties in our personal lives and difficulties due to impermanence and change, but that within that there is beauty, perfume, beautiful colors, beautiful forms, beautiful shapes, and just the joy and beauty of nature. Another reason.